I'm standing there in my own dining room apron, still on. Dessert plates not even cleared, when the intercom buzzes and a bank envelope shows up with my name on it, and their address underneath. That's the moment I realized this wasn't a family dinner. It was a setup. This story is inspired by real-life submissions. I spent 7 hours cooking that Sunday dinner. 7 hours hoping pot roast could fix what I didn't yet understand was broken. The moment I pulled into Daniel and Kelsey's driveway in Columbus, something felt off. My son stood on the porch with his hands in his pockets, wouldn't meet my eyes. 40 years of being his mother taught me to read silences. Kelsey opened the door before I could knock. Her smile was too bright. "Margaret." She took the casserole dish, leaned close. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Today you're going to understand your place." My stomach went cold, but then Emma and Jake came running, and I convinced myself I'd misheard. Dinner was beautiful. Everything Daniel loved: pot roast with carrots, Parker House rolls, apple crisp, but he barely touched his plate. Kept glancing at Kelsey, then me, then back. His leg bounced under the table. "Mom," Daniel finally said, "after dessert, we need you to sign something. Just quick, okay, for the mortgage refinance?" I'd been a bank teller for 32 years. Mortgage paperwork doesn't get signed over Sunday dinner. "What kind of something?" "Just a formality," Kelsey cut in. So much paperwork for every little change. I'd noticed the envelope on the sideboard. Manila. My name typed across the front. Except they'd spelled it Margaret 1A. I'd been Margaret with 2 A's for 66 years. Why would pre-printed documents have my name wrong? The intercom buzzed. Daniel's face went white. "Registered letter for Margaret Hayes. Needs a signature?" Kelsey's hand gripped her glass so tight I thought it'd shatter. I stood. "That's me." "Mom, just let me," Daniel started, but I was already buzzing the driver up. When he handed me the envelope, this one with my name spelled correctly, I saw the return address. First National Bank, Fraud Investigation Department. I opened it right there. Daniel and Kelsey moved toward me, but I turned my shoulder. The letter was short, direct. Attempted unauthorized access to my savings account. Change of beneficiary form submitted electronically. Mailing address matching this apartment. "Mom, you're confused," Daniel said, voice pitched high. "It's a mistake," Kelsey said, reaching for the envelope. "Old people get these scam letters all the time." But I'd seen the account number. Mine. The one I'd had since 1987. Everything I'd saved from the bank, from Robert's life insurance, from selling our house. I looked at my son, really looked, and saw something new. Not confusion, fear. "We're going to the bank tomorrow morning," I said quietly. "First thing." "Mom, that's not necessary." 9A.M. The 3 of us. The silence was thick. Emma looked up from coloring, sensing something wrong. Kelsey's face went from fake sweet to something harder. "You're overreacting," she said. "This is exactly what we worried about. You're not thinking clearly." But my thinking had never been clearer. That misspelled envelope? The fraud letter. My son who couldn't hold my gaze. The pot roast wasn't going to fix this. I picked up my purse. "I'll see you both at 9. Daniel grabbed my arm. Not hard, but firm. "Mom, please. You don't understand what you're doing." I pulled free gently. "No, honey. I don't think you understand what you've done." The drive home felt endless. My mind raced. Pre-signed papers, fraud alert, Kelsey's threat, Daniel's desperation. At home, I laid everything on my kitchen table. The bank letter, a photo of the misspelled envelope, Ms. Holloway's business card from my wallet. My answering machine blinked. 2 messages. Daniel, first. "Mom, I'm sorry about tonight. Let's forget this and talk next week. No need to go to the bank." The second message made my blood run cold. Ms. Holloway. Mrs. Holloway calling at 3:47 p.m. Someone called asking about your account security questions. They had some of your information, but not all. We didn't give them access. But come in first thing Monday? There's something you need to see. I sat down slowly. The dinner had been planned for today. That bank call had been made today, hours before I arrived. They'd expected me to sign something tonight, make their plan look legitimate. But that fraud letter had arrived, and now everything was different. I didn't sleep, kept thinking about Kelsey's whisper, Daniel's face when the doorbell rang. What would have happened if that letter arrived one day later, or not at all? When dawn broke, I was already dressed. Bank letter in my purse, questions written on a notepad, and something I hadn't felt in years. Anger, clean, clear, righteous. Whatever they'd been planning, whatever they thought they could do to someone my age, they'd made one mistake. They'd assumed I wouldn't notice. They'd assumed I was too old, too trusting, too confused. They'd assumed wrong. At 8:55 a.m., I pulled into First National's parking lot. Daniel's car was already there. Through the window, I could see him and Kelsey arguing, hands moving in sharp gestures. I checked my reflection. 66 years old, gray hair, crow's feet, hands that trembled from arthritis. But my eyes were clear. Today wasn't the day I was going to understand my place. Today was the day they were going to understand theirs. Ms. Holloway's office smelled like air freshener and bad news. She smiled when I walked in, but it didn't reach her eyes. That professional smile bank managers use when they're about to tell you something you don't want to hear. Mrs. Hayes, please sit. She gestured to the chair across from her desk, then glanced at Daniel and Kelsey standing behind me. Will they be joining us? Yes, I said. They insisted on coming to help. Daniel had that word ready. Help. Like I couldn't manage my own banking anymore. Ms. Holloway opened a folder. I'm glad you came in. We've had some unusual activity on your account that raised several red flags. Unusual how? She turned her monitor toward me. Someone attempted to access your online banking 3 times last week. They had your account number and date of birth, but failed the security questions. My chest tightened. What questions did they get wrong? Your mother's maiden name, the street you grew up on. She paused. Things family members might not know if they never asked. I'd never told Daniel my mother's maiden name. He'd never asked. But someone had tried to guess. There's more, Ms. Holloway continued. She pulled out a printed form. 2 weeks ago, we received a beneficiary change request. Submitted online. It listed this address. She pointed to Daniel and Kelsey's apartment number. Kelsey shifted behind me. I could feel her tension like static electricity. I never submitted that, I said. We suspected as much. The request came from an IP address we'd never seen associated with your account before. She lowered her voice. Mrs. Hayes, someone also added a new phone number to your account profile. A number that doesn't match your home or cell. She wrote the number on a post-it note and slid it across the desk. I recognized it immediately. Kelsey's cell. That's not mine, I said quietly. Daniel stepped forward. Mom, maybe you added it and forgot. People your age sometimes. I'm 66. Daniel, not 90. And I didn't add that number. Ms. Holloway's expression hardened slightly. Mr. Hayes, I need to be clear. These access attempts originated from the same IP address as the beneficiary change. Our fraud department takes financial exploitation very seriously, especially with elder clients. Elder clients. There was that word, elder. Like I was fragile, incompetent. What does that mean? Kelsey asked, her voice tight. It means, Ms. Holloway said, that we recommend Mrs. Hayes file a formal investigation with our fraud department. We'll need to document everything, the timeline, the access attempts, any documents signed under pressure. That seems extreme, Daniel said quickly. This is just family confusion. We can sort it out ourselves. But Ms. Holloway was already printing something. These are the access logs. Every attempt, every failed password, Every security question answered incorrectly. She handed me 3 pages. Notice the dates. I scanned them. The first attempt was 8 weeks ago, right after I'd mentioned to Daniel that I was thinking about updating my will. The second was 6 weeks ago, the day after I'd told him about the CD that matured. The third was last Tuesday, the day before the Sunday dinner. They'd been planning this for months. I need copies of everything, I said. Daniel's hand landed on my shoulder. Mom, let's not make this bigger than it is. Banks make mistakes. Systems glitch. Ms. Holloway's jaw tightened. Mr. Hayes, I've worked in banking for 15 years. This isn't a glitch. The room went silent. I could hear Kelsey breathing faster behind me. Mrs. Hayes, Ms. Holloway continued, I'm also concerned about the phone call we received yesterday at 3:47 p.m. The caller claimed to be you. Said you'd forgotten your password and needed to reset it immediately. What did they sound like? I asked. Younger than you? Female? Her eyes flicked to Kelsey. We asked for a verbal verification of your social security number. She hung up. Kelsey's face went pale. Daniel's voice got louder. You're accusing my wife of— I'm not accusing anyone, Ms. Holloway said calmly. I'm stating facts. Someone tried to access your mother's account yesterday using information only close family would have. I stood up. My legs felt shaky, but my voice didn't. I want to open a fraud investigation. Today? Mom, please, and I want that phone number removed from my account. And new security questions? And alerts on every transaction over $50. Ms. Holloway nodded. I'll set that up right now. Daniel looked at me like I'd slapped him. You're really going to do this? Make your own son look like a criminal? I'm protecting myself, I said. If you haven't done anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. His face changed then. The fear from last night came back, sharper. You don't understand what you're starting? Then help me understand. Daniel, explain why your wife's phone number is on my bank account. Explain why someone tried to change my beneficiary to your address. Explain why you wanted me to sign papers last night without reading them. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Kelsey. She was staring at the access logs on Ms. Holloway's desk. Her hands were clenched so tight her knuckles were white. We should go, Kelsey said quietly. Not yet, Ms. Holloway said. I need Mrs. Hayes to sign these fraud investigation forms. It's protocol when there's suspected financial abuse. That word hung in the air. Abuse. Daniel grabbed Kelsey's arm. We're leaving, Mr. Hayes, but they were already walking out. Through the glass walls of the office, I watched them cross the bank lobby. Daniel's shoulders were hunched. Kelsey was talking fast, her hands moving in sharp gestures. Ms. Holloway sighed. Mrs. Hayes, I'm sorry. I know this isn't easy. How long will the investigation take? 2 to 3 weeks. We'll review everything, the IP addresses, the call recordings, any documents submitted in your name. She paused. Have you signed anything recently? Anything at all? I thought about the envelope from last night. The one with my name spelled wrong? No, I said. But they wanted me to. She made a note. If they ask you to sign anything else, don't. Bring it here first. I nodded, taking the copies she'd printed. The access logs. The beneficiary change request. The notes about yesterday's phone call. Paper trail. That's what my late husband Robert used to say. Always keep a paper trail. Ms. Holloway, I said slowly. What happens if they try again? Her expression was grim. Then we'll know it wasn't confusion or mistakes. We'll know it was intentional. I walked out of that bank with a folder full of proof and a sick feeling in my stomach. My son's car was gone from the parking lot. But as I unlocked my own car, my phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Mom, you're making a huge mistake. Call off the investigation and we can fix this. I didn't respond. Instead, I drove to the one person I knew I could trust. Someone who'd seen families fall apart over money before. Someone who understood that sometimes love and betrayal wore the same face. Jenna Ortiz had been my primary care nurse for 6 years. But more than that, she'd become a friend. And I had a feeling I was going to need one. The clinic waiting room smelled like disinfectant and old magazines. I wasn't there for an appointment. I was there because I needed someone who'd tell me the truth. Jenna looked up from the nurse's station, and her smile faded immediately. Margaret, what's wrong? I must have looked worse than I thought. She led me to an empty exam room and closed the door. Talk to me. I told her everything. The dinner, the fraud letter, the bank this morning. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. How long has this been going on? She asked. The bank said 8 weeks. But I think it's been longer. Jenna stood up and walked to her computer. Her fingers moved across the keyboard, clicking through screens. She stopped, frowned. Margaret, when was the last time you were here? 3 weeks ago, for my blood pressure check. And before that, maybe 2 months, for my Medicare annual. She turned the monitor toward me. According to this, you've been here 6 times in the last 2 months. My stomach dropped. That's not possible. Someone's been accessing your patient portal. Look, she pointed at the screen. Login attempts from an IP address that's not yours. And last week, someone called asking about your prescription refills. Who called? A woman. Said she was your daughter-in-law. Said you were having memory issues and she needed to help manage your medications. Jenna's voice was tight. She asked if we could add her as your emergency contact. The room felt smaller suddenly. What did you say? I said we needed your written consent. She got irritated and hung up. Jenna pulled up another screen. But look at this. 3 days ago, someone tried to change your emergency contact information through the online portal. The request was flagged because it came from an unknown device. Let me guess, I said quietly. They tried to add Kelsey. Jenna nodded. And remove your brother Tom. Tom was my only sibling. Lived in Florida. We talked every Sunday. If something happened to me, he'd be the first person the hospital would call. Unless Kelsey got there first. Why would she need access to my medical records? I asked. Jenna's expression darkened. Margaret, if someone's trying to establish that you're mentally incompetent, medical records are step 1. They build a narrative, forgetfulness, confusion, difficulty managing your own affairs. But I'm fine. I know that. But on paper, if they can show a pattern of missed appointments, medication errors, claims that you're not thinking clearly, ... She let the sentence hang. I thought about yesterday. Kelsey calling me confused. Daniel saying people my age forget things. The bank manager using the word elder like I was already halfway gone. They're building a case, I said slowly. It looks that way. Jenna printed something and handed it to me. This is your access log. Every login, every attempted change. Every phone call made about your account. I scanned the dates. They matched the bank timeline almost exactly. Can I keep this? You should. If this goes legal, you'll need documentation. She paused. Margaret, I'm worried. This is coordinated. They're not just going after your money. They're going after your credibility. My hands were shaking. I set the papers down on the exam table. What do I do? Jenna sat beside me. First, change all your portal passwords. Second, I'm adding a note to your file that all medical information requires in-person verification from you only. No phone requests. No proxy access without notarized consent. Will that stop them? It'll slow them down. She touched my shoulder. But Margaret, you need legal help. This is elder abuse. Financial exploitation. It's not just family drama anymore. I'd been avoiding that word, abuse. Like saying it out loud would make it more real. I don't even know where to start, I admitted. I do. Jenna pulled out her phone and scrolled through contacts. My aunt went through something similar 5 years ago. Daughter-in-law tried to get power of attorney while she was in the hospital. This lawyer stopped it cold. She wrote down a name and number. Arthur Levine, elder law attorney. Call him today. Tell him I referred you. He'll see you this week. I folded the paper and put it in my purse with the bank documents. My paper trail was growing. Jenna, thank you. I don't know what Don't thank me yet. Her voice was grim. If they're this desperate, they won't stop because you went to the bank. They'll find another way. What do you mean? Think about it. They've tried banking. They've tried medical records. What's left? The answer hit me like cold water. The house. Jenna nodded. Your house. Your car. Your will. Anything with your name on it that they can legally challenge or change? I stood up too fast and had to steady myself against the exam table. I need to go home. I need to check. Wait. Jenna grabbed a folder from the desk. Take these. Copies of everything. Your medical records from the last year. Proof that you're cognitively sound. Any doctor's notes about your health. Why would I need proof I'm not senile? Because that's what they'll claim if you fight back. That you're paranoid. Confused. Not capable of managing your own life. She pressed the folder into my hands. Don't give them ammunition. I walked out of that clinic with 2 folders now. One from the bank, one from the medical office. Both proving the same thing. My family was trying to erase me piece by piece. My phone rang as I reached my car. Daniel, I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, a text. Mom, Kelsey feels terrible about the misunderstanding at the bank. Can we come by tonight to talk? Misunderstanding. Like attempted fraud was just a mix-up? I didn't respond. Instead, I drove home and did something I should have done years ago. I checked the deed to my house. The house Robert and I bought in 1982. The house I'd paid off in 2003. The house that was supposed to be mine, free and clear. I found the deed in my filing cabinet. Opened it with shaking hands, and saw a name that shouldn't have been there. Daniel Hayes. Listed as The date on the edition was 4 months ago. The signature at the bottom looked like mine, but I'd never signed it. I sat down on my living room floor, deed papers scattered around me, and realized Jenna was right. They weren't trying anymore. They'd already started. I sat on my living room floor staring at that deed for 20 minutes before I could move. Daniel's name, right there next to mine, co-owner. 4 months ago, the document said. April 15th. I remembered April 15th. It was the day after my birthday. Daniel had taken me to lunch at that Italian place I liked. He'd seemed distracted, kept checking his phone. Said he had to stop by his office afterward to grab some paperwork. Had I signed something that day? I tried to remember. We'd finished lunch. He'd walked me to my car. Said he'd left something in the restaurant. Went back inside. Came out 5 minutes later with nothing. What had he really been doing? My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and opened the voicemail app. Maybe I'd missed something. Some clue I'd overlooked. I scrolled back through old messages. Deleting them helped me sleep sometimes, but I was bad at actually cleaning out the inbox. There, from April 16th, a message I'd marked as saved but never really listened to again. I hit play. Mrs. Hayes, this is Brandon from Columbus Title Company. I'm calling to confirm we received your signed deed modification. Mr. Hayes brought it in this morning, and everything looks good. You should receive your copy in the mail within 10 business days. If you have any questions, give us a call at it. Played it again. Mr. Hayes brought it in this morning. Not you brought it in? Not you both came in? Daniel had brought it in. Alone. I checked the date of the call. April 16th. The day after our birthday lunch. The day after he'd been distracted and checking his phone and went back into the restaurant for something. My stomach turned over. I scrolled further back in my voicemail. March, February. Nothing suspicious until I hit February 3rd. A message from a number I didn't recognize. I almost deleted it, but something made me listen. Heavy breathing, background noise, then Kelsey's voice. Distant, but clear. Just get her to sign it. She won't even read it. Old people never do. Daniel's voice, closer to the phone. What if she asks questions? Tell her it's for tax purposes. Estate planning. She'll eat that up. She's always worried about leaving you something. The message ended. Pocket dial, probably. They'd never meant for me to hear it. But I had, and I'd forgotten about it until now. I saved it, downloaded it, sent it to my email just in case. Then I went to my Ring doorbell app. I'd gotten the camera installed last Christmas after some package thefts in the neighborhood. Daniel had helped set it up. I barely used it. I scrolled back to April 14th, my birthday, the day before the Italian lunch. There, 7:23 p.m., a car pulling into my driveway. I zoomed in, Daniel's car, but I'd already gone to bed early that night. He hadn't knocked, hadn't called. The video showed him getting out, walking to my mailbox, opening it, taking something out, looking at it, then getting back in his car and leaving. What had been in my mailbox? I checked April 15th, the lunch day. Another video? 2:47 p.m. while we were at the restaurant. A FedEx truck. A delivery person walking to my door with a large envelope. Knocking. No answer. Leaving it on the doormat. But when I'd gotten home that afternoon, there'd been no envelope. Because Daniel had come back. The next video was at 3:15 p.m. Daniel's car again. Him getting out, picking up the envelope from my doormat, looking around, getting back in his car, taking my mail. I felt sick. I scrolled forward. April 16th, the day the title company called. 6:30 a.m., before I was even awake. Daniel's car. He got out with that same envelope, walked to my front door, stood there for a moment, then slid something through my mail slot. The copy of the deed modification. The one that made him owner of my house. The one I'd supposedly signed. But I'd never even seen the original. I took screenshots of everything. Every video, every timestamp. Every moment of my son stealing my mail and forging my signature and stealing my house piece by piece. My phone rang. Daniel again. This time I answered. Mom, finally. Where have you been? I've been calling all day. I've been home, I said quietly, looking at some interesting documents. Silence on the other end. What documents? The deed to my house? Did you know your name is on it now? More silence. Then, Mom, we talked about that. Remember? You wanted to make sure the house stayed in the family? I don't remember that conversation, Daniel. See? That's what we're worried about. You're forgetting things. Important things. His voice got softer. Almost gentle. Maybe you should see a doctor. Get checked out. There it was. The script Jenna had warned me about. You're forgetting things. You're confused. You need help. I'm not confused, I said. And I'm looking at Ring camera footage from April 15th. Want me to describe it to you? The line went dead silent. Daniel? Mom? His voice changed. Harder now? What are you doing? I'm protecting myself from your own family. From whoever's been forging my signature and stealing my mail and trying to steal my house. You're being paranoid, am I? Then explain the voicemail from February 3rd. The one where Kelsey says, old people never read what they sign. I heard him breathing. Fast. Panicked. Mom, you're taking things out of context. You don't understand then? Help me understand. Come over tomorrow. Bring the original deed modification. The one with my signature. Let's compare it to my actual signature on my driver's license. I don't have it anymore. The title company does. We can get a copy. Mom, stop. Just stop. His voice cracked. You're ruining everything. What am I ruining, Daniel? He didn't answer. What was the plan? I asked. Get your name on the deed. Then what? Wait for me to die. Or find a way to move me into a home and sell the house out from under me. It's not like that. Then what is it like? We're in trouble, he said quietly. Real trouble. IRS trouble. We need. He stopped himself. But it was too late. You need my money, I finished. My house? My savings. Everything I worked for. It's not just about money. The kids need, don't you dare use Emma and Jake as an excuse. The line went quiet again. I'm calling that lawyer tomorrow, I said. The one who specializes in elder abuse? And I'm filing a police report about the forged deed. Mom, please, I hung up. My hands were still shaking, but something had shifted. The fear was still there, but underneath it was something stronger. Clarity. I knew what they'd done. I knew how they'd done it. And now I had proof. The voicemail. The Ring camera footage. The deed with the suspicious signature. My paper trail was growing. And they were running out of places to hide. Arthur Levine's office was in an old brick building downtown. The kind with creaky wooden floors and law books lining every wall. His secretary led me to a small conference room. I'd brought everything. The bank logs. The medical records. The deed. The voicemail. Screenshots from the Ring camera. Mr. Levine walked in 5 minutes later. Silver hair. Kind eyes. He reminded me of Robert. Mrs. Hayes. Jenna Ortiz speaks very highly of you. He sat down across from me. Tell me what's happening. I spread the documents across the table. Started with the Sunday dinner. The fraud letter. The bank. Worked my way through to yesterday's phone call with Daniel. He listened without interrupting. Took notes. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. How much is your house worth? He asked. About $400,000. It's paid off. And your savings? A little over $200,000. He nodded slowly. Mrs. Hayes, I need to tell you something. This case isn't unusual. I see 3 or 4 like it every month. That shouldn't have made me feel better, but somehow it did. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. What do they usually want? I asked. Control? Money. Often both. He pulled the deed toward him. This signature. You're certain you didn't sign this? Positive. We'll need a handwriting expert. But even without that, the timeline is damning. Your son intercepted your mail. That's federal. He tapped the Ring camera screenshots. This is excellent documentation. What about the bank attempts? That's fraud. Attempted theft. The medical records access is trickier, but combined with everything else, it builds a clear pattern. He leaned back. Mrs. Hayes, what do you want to happen here? I hadn't let myself think about that yet. I want my house back in my name only. I want my accounts secured. I want to make sure they can't do this to anyone else. Do you want criminal charges? My throat tightened. He's my son. I understand. But he committed crimes. Multiple crimes. What would happen to him? Depends on the prosecutor. Fraud, forgery, elder abuse. He could face jail time, or probation and restitution. He paused. But Mrs. Hayes, if you don't press charges, what stops him from trying again? I looked down at my hands. 66 years old. Liver spots? Arthritis? But steady. Can I think about it? Of course. But we need to act quickly on the deed. I'll file a motion to invalidate the modification. We'll request forensic analysis of the signature. He pulled out a legal pad. I'm also going to recommend a protection order. Against my own son. Against anyone trying to access your finances or property without your consent. It's temporary. Just until we sort this out. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We know you went to a lawyer. You're making this worse for everyone. I showed it to Mr. Levine. His jaw tightened. Save that. Forward it to me. And from now on, document every contact they make. Every call. Every text. Every visit. They're watching me. Or they have a source. Someone who saw you come in here. He made another note. Do they have keys to your house? Daniel has a spare. From when his dad was sick and he'd check on us. Change your locks today. I'll give you a referral. Everything was moving so fast. 2 days ago, I was cooking pot roast. Now I was changing locks and filing motions and considering protection orders. Mr. Levine, there's something else. I pulled out my phone, found the voicemail from the title company. Listen to this. He listened. His expression darkened. The title company will have records, including whoever presented that deed. He wrote something down. I'm subpoenaing their files. If your son forged your signature and presented it as legitimate, that's serious. How long will this take? 2 weeks for the forensics? Maybe 3? The deed invalidation could be faster if the signature is obviously forged. He looked at me carefully. Mrs. Hayes, I need to ask. Are you safe? Do you feel threatened? I thought about Kelsey's whisper, Daniel's desperation. That text just now? I don't know, I admitted. Then we move fast. I'll file the protection order this afternoon. You'll have it by tomorrow. He stood up. One more thing. Do they know about your will? I have one. From when Robert died? Who's your executor? Daniel. His face said everything. We're changing that too, he said. Today? 2 hours later, I walked out of Arthur Levine's office with a new will, pending protection order, and a referral for a locksmith. My phone rang as I reached my car. Kelsey, I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Margaret, we need to talk. Her voice was different, harder. You've gone too far. I've protected myself. You've turned your son into a criminal. Over a misunderstanding? It wasn't a misunderstanding, Kelsey. It was fraud. You're confused. Old. You don't see clearly anymore. There it was again. That word old, like it erased everything I knew. I see perfectly clearly. I see what you've been doing for months. We were helping you. You're too senile to manage alone. Then why did you lie? Why forge signatures? Why try to access my accounts in secret? Silence. Then, because you would have said no. And we needed. She stopped herself. You needed my money, I finished. Daniel's in trouble. Real trouble. The IRS is threatening liens. We could lose everything. Her voice cracked. We were going to pay you back. Eventually. By stealing my house. By keeping it in the family. You won't need it forever. And the kids don't use Emma and Jake as an excuse. They're your grandchildren. Don't you care about their future? I care about the truth. And about not being robbed by my own family. You're destroying us. She was crying now. Real tears. Daniel's falling apart. The kids are confused. All because you won't help. Help would be asking, this was stealing. We'll fight you. We'll tell everyone you're senile. Incompetent. We'll get doctors to testify. Will I have documentation? Kelsey. Medical records proving I'm perfectly competent. Bank logs. Ring camera footage. Voicemails. Everything. The crying stopped. You recorded us. You recorded yourselves. I just kept the receipts. The line went dead. I sat in my car in that parking lot and realized I'd just drawn a line I couldn't uncross. This was war now, and I intended to win. The locksmith finished at 4 p.m., new deadbolts, new keys. Only one set, and it stayed with me. I was testing the front door lock when my phone rang. Mr. Levine. Mrs. Hayes, we have a problem. My stomach dropped. What kind of problem? I contacted Columbus Title Company for their records on the deed modification. They're claiming they never processed it. But the voicemail, I know. I have the recording, but their system shows no transaction under your name or address on that date. He paused. Someone's lying. The title company? Or your son used a different company? A fake one, maybe. His voice was grim. I'm digging deeper. But this means the deed modification might not be legally filed yet. Is that good or bad? Good if we can stop it. Bad if he's waiting for the right moment to file. Papers rustled on his end. Check your county recorder's office online. See if anything's been recorded in the last 6 months. I pulled out my laptop while he stayed on the line. Navigated to the county website. Entered my address. There. 2 weeks ago. A deed modification recorded. Daniel Hayes added as Conar. It's filed, I said quietly. 2 weeks ago? Then they lied about the timeline. He was typing fast. Forward me that voicemail again. I'm going to trace the number. I sent it while we talked. Mrs. Hayes, I need you to check something else. Your safe deposit box. Do you have one? Yes. At First National. When's the last time you opened it? I tried to remember. Maybe a year. I keep my mother's jewelry there. Robert's watch. Our marriage certificate. Go tomorrow morning. First thing. Make sure everything's still there. I think they've been thorough. And if they have access to your accounts, they might have added themselves to your box too. After we hung up, I sat with that thought. The safe deposit box. I'd never even considered it. My hands shook as I pulled up the bank's website. Logged into my account using the new password Ms. Holloway helped me set. Clicked on Safe Deposit Box Access. There were 2 names authorized. Mine and Kelsey's. Added 4 months ago. Same day as the deed. I called Mr. Levine back immediately. They have access to my safe deposit box. Since when? April 15th. Silence. Then, we're going to the bank tomorrow morning. 7:30. Before they open, I'll meet you there. That night I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about what was in that box. My mother's engagement ring. Robert's father's watch. The original deed to the house. My marriage certificate. Birth certificates. What if it was already empty? At 7:25 a.m., I pulled into the bank parking lot. Mr. Levine was waiting by the entrance with Miss Holloway. I called ahead. He explained. She's opening early for us. Inside, Miss Holloway looked worried. Mrs. Hayes, I pulled the access logs for your box. Someone opened it 3 times in the last month. When? She checked her screen. April 18th, May 2nd, and yesterday, 3 p.m. yesterday. While I was at Mr. Levine's office, who accessed it? Mr. Levine asked. Kelsey Hayes. Using the authorization on file. My chest tightened. What was she taking? We don't monitor that. Just access. Mr. Levine's jaw was set. Let's open it now. Ms. Holloway led us to the vault. Used her key and mine to open the box. Pulled out the long metal container. My hands were shaking as I lifted the lid. Empty. Completely empty. No jewelry. No watches. No documents. Nothing. I stared at the bare metal interior. Felt something break inside my chest. They took everything, I whispered. Mr. Levine was already on his phone. I'm calling the police. This is theft. Documented theft. Ms. Holloway printed the access logs. Her face was pale. Mrs. Hayes, I'm so sorry. If I'd known it's not your fault. But my voice sounded far away. My mother's ring? The one she wore for 53 years? The one she pressed into my hand the day before she died and said, for your daughter someday. I didn't have a daughter, but I'd kept it safe anyway. And now it was gone. Mr. Levine finished his call. Police are coming. We'll file a report. The access logs prove who took it. Will I get it back? His expression told me everything. Jewelry can be sold fast, pawned, melted down, but we'll try. A uniformed officer arrived 20 minutes later, took my statement, looked at the logs, asked questions. Ma'am, do you know where your daughter-in-law might be right now? No. We'll need to talk to her, and we'll check local pawn shops. But I'll be honest, if it's been more than 24 hours, the trail goes cold fast. After he left, I sat in Miss Holloway's office staring at nothing. Mrs. Hayes, Mr. Levine said gently, I know this is hard, but we have them now. Documented theft from a safe deposit box. That's a felony. They took my mother's ring. I know. Robert's father's watch. He wore it on our wedding day. I know. The original deed. My marriage certificate. Everything that mattered. Mr. Levine pulled his chair closer. Then we make sure they face consequences. Real ones. Are you ready to press charges now? I looked at him. This kind man who was trying to help me, who'd seen this before and knew how it ended. Yes, I said. I'm ready. He nodded, pulled out paperwork. Then let's make it official. As I signed the complaint, my phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Mom, we need to talk. Please, before this gets worse. I showed it to Mr. Levine. Don't respond, he said. Everything goes through me now. But I couldn't help wondering, how much worse could it get? I was about to find out. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. All from Daniel. No voicemails, just calls. Over and over. Starting at 2 a.m., Mr. Levine had warned me this would happen. When cornered, people get desperate, he'd said. I made coffee and tried not to think about my mother's ring sitting in some pawn shop. Tried not to imagine Kelsey's hands touching things that weren't hers. My phone rang again. This time I looked at the caller ID. Jenna. Margaret, are you okay? Daniel's been calling the clinic looking for you. He sounds frantic. I'm fine. What did he want? He said you weren't answering. Said he was worried about your health. Asked if we'd seen you. She paused. He also asked if we'd given you any medical documents recently. My chest tightened. What did you say? That I couldn't discuss patient information. Then he threatened to file a complaint about me breaching confidentiality. Her voice was angry. Margaret, he's trying to intimidate me. I'm sorry. I never meant. Don't apologize. This is exactly what abusers do. They isolate. They pressure. They try to cut off your allies. She took a breath, but I called because I remembered something. The clinic, cameras. What about them? Last week when Kelsey called asking about your prescriptions, she was actually here, in the parking lot. I saw her car. Why didn't she come inside? That's what's weird. She just sat there, on her phone, for almost an hour. Jenna's voice dropped. Margaret, what if she was taking photos? Of your car? Your license plate? Documenting when you came and went? I hadn't thought of that. Can you check the footage? Already did? She was here 3 times last month. Just sitting, watching. Once she even followed you out when you left. Did she follow me home? I don't know. The cameras only cover our lot. But Margaret, this is stalking behavior. After we hung up, I opened my Ring camera app with shaking hands. Started scrolling back through the last month. There, April 23rd. Kelsey's car parked across the street. 7 a.m. I was still in bed at 7 a.m. She'd been watching my house before I even woke up. April 27th, her car again. This time, at 9 p.m., lights off, just sitting there. May 1st, May 6th, May 10th. She'd been watching me for weeks. I took screenshots of every single instance. Sent them to Mr. Levine with a message. She's been stalking me. He called immediately. How many times? At least 8 that I can see. Maybe more. Save everything. This supports the protection order. He was typing fast. Margaret, I need you to do something. Check your car. Why? If she's been that obsessed with tracking you, she might have put something on your vehicle. My hands went cold. Like what? A GPS tracker? They're cheap, easy to hide. I've seen it in 3 cases this year. I grabbed my keys and went straight to the garage. Walked around my car slowly. Checked under the bumpers. The wheel wells. Nothing. Then I remembered. Daniel had fixed my rearview mirror last month. Said it was loose. I reached up and felt along the mirror's edge. There, a small black device, magnetic, about the size of a quarter. I pulled it off and stared at it in my palm. GPS tracker? They'd known everywhere I went. The bank, the lawyer, the clinic, everything. I took it inside and called Mr. Levine. Found it, I said. In my rearview mirror? Don't throw it away. That's evidence. His voice was tight. Margaret, this changes everything. This is surveillance. Stalking. Combined with the financial crimes, we're looking at a pattern of serious abuse. What do I do with it? Bring it to my office. We'll document it, photograph it, add it to the case. He paused. The police need to see this too. I drove to his office with the tracker in a plastic bag. kept checking my mirrors, wondering if they somehow knew I'd found it. When I arrived, Mr. Levine had another visitor waiting, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes. "Mrs. Hayes, this is Detective Linda Martinez. She handles elder abuse cases." Detective Martinez shook my hand. "Mr. Levine briefed me on your situation. I'd like to hear it in your own words." I told her everything. She took notes, didn't interrupt. When I showed her the tracker, her expression hardened. "How long has this been in your car?" "At least a month, maybe longer." "And your son installed it?" "He said he was fixing my mirror." She photographed it from multiple angles. "Mrs. Hayes, I'm going to be direct with you. What your family has done constitutes elder abuse, financial exploitation, stalking, and theft. These are serious crimes." "I know. Are you prepared to testify against them?" My throat felt tight. "He's my son. I understand. But he's also a criminal." She closed her notebook. "I've seen cases like this before. They start with small manipulations. Then it escalates. The longer it goes on, the worse it gets. What happens now? We build the case. The GPS tracker is excellent evidence. Combined with the bank fraud, the forged deed, the safe deposit box theft, we have more than enough for charges." She looked at me carefully. "But I need to know you won't back down. These cases fall apart when victims recant. I won't recant. Even if your son begs, cries, brings your grandchildren." I thought about Emma and Jake, sweet kids who had no idea what their parents had done. "Even then," I said quietly. Detective Martinez nodded. "Then we move forward. I'll coordinate with the prosecutor's office. You'll need to come in for a formal statement." After she left, Mr. Levine made tea, set a cup in front of me. "You did the right thing," he said. "Then why does it feel so wrong?" "Because you're a mother. Because you love your son. Because this isn't how you imagined your family turning out." He sat across from me. "But Margaret, love doesn't mean letting someone destroy you." My phone buzzed. Another text from Daniel. "Mom, the police called. What did you tell them? We can still fix this. Please?" I showed it to Mr. Levine. "He knows we're closing in," he said. "What will he do? Probably try to shift blame. Say Kelsey was behind everything. That he didn't know. That he was trying to protect you." Mr. Levine's expression was grim. "Men like your son always have excuses. And if he convinces the police, he won't. We have documentation. His name on the deed. His car on your Ring camera. His voice on the voicemail." He set down his cup. "The evidence doesn't lie." I went home that afternoon and did something I'd been avoiding. I looked through old photo albums. Daniel as a baby. Daniel's first day of school. Daniel graduating high school. Daniel's wedding. In every photo, he was smiling. Happy. My boy. When had that boy turned into someone who could steal from his own mother? I closed the album and looked around my living room. This house Robert and I built a life in. The house I'd almost lost. My phone rang. Unknown number? I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. "Mrs. Hayes." A young man's voice. "This is Brandon from Columbus Title Company. I'm returning Mr. Levine's call about the deed inquiry." My heart started pounding. Yes. I checked our records. "We did process a deed modification for your property, April 16th. But ma'am, the person who brought it in wasn't your son." "Who was it?" "A woman? Kelsey Hayes. She had your ID, your signature, everything we needed for verification. My ID, a photocopy. It looked legitimate." He sounded nervous. "Did we make a mistake?" I couldn't breathe. "She had my driver's license." "A copy?" "Yes." "Ma'am, if this was fraudulent," I hung up and immediately called Mr. Levine. "She had my ID," I said when he answered. "Kelsey, she made a copy of my driver's license. When could she have accessed it?" I tried to think. My purse. Had I left it alone around them? Then I remembered. The Sunday dinner. I'd set my purse in their bedroom. Kelsey had suggested it, so the kids don't get into it. She'd had 20 minutes alone with my purse while we ate. The night of the dinner? I whispered. She went through my purse. Mr. Levine was silent for a moment. Then this was premeditated, carefully planned. Not a crime of opportunity. What does that mean? It means they're going to prison. Detective Martinez called 3 days later. We're bringing them in for questioning. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. My hands went numb. Both of them. Your son and daughter-in-law separately. She paused. Mrs. Hayes, you don't need to be there. But if you want to observe through the glass, you can. I didn't sleep that night. At 8:45 a.m., I sat in a small observation room at the police station. Mr. Levine beside me. Through the one-way glass, I could see an empty interrogation room. Are you sure about this? He asked quietly. No, but I need to see it. At 9 exactly, Detective Martinez led Daniel in. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, hands shaking. She set a folder on the table between them, sat down, turned on the recording device. Mr. Hayes, you're here voluntarily to answer questions regarding your mother, Margaret Hayes. You understand you can leave at any time? Yes. His voice was hoarse. Tell me about your relationship with your mother. It's good. I love her. I'd never hurt her. Detective Martinez opened the folder, pulled out the bank access logs, slid them across the table. These show 17 unauthorized access attempts to your mother's accounts. From your home IP address. Daniel stared at the papers. That's not I did in the attempts. Matched timestamps when your mother was documented elsewhere. At the clinic? At the grocery store? She pulled out more papers. Your Ring camera footage shows her leaving. The access attempts happen within minutes. Kelsey must have your wife. Let's talk about her. Detective Martinez pulled out the safe deposit box logs. Kelsey accessed your mother's box 3 times. Removed all contents. Where are those items now? I don't know. You don't know where your mother's jewelry is? Her documents? Kelsey handled that stuff. I wasn't involved. Detective Martinez leaned back. Mr. Hayes, your name is on a forged deed. Your voice is on a voicemail discussing getting your mother to sign documents. You intercepted her mail. She tapped the papers. You were involved in everything. Daniel's face crumpled. I didn't want to, but we were desperate. The IRS was threatening everything. Our house, my job, the kids' future. So, you decided to steal from your mother? It wasn't stealing. It was borrowing. We were going to pay her back. With what money? Silence. Mr. Hayes, did you install a GPS tracker in your mother's vehicle? He looked up sharply. What? A tracking device? In her rearview mirror? Did you put it there? No. I fixed her mirror, but I didn't. He stopped, paled. Kelsey asked me to install it. She said it was for Mom's safety, in case she got lost. Your 66-year-old mother who's lived in Columbus her entire life. She said older people get confused. Your mother isn't confused, Mr. Hayes. She's being stalked. Detective Martinez stood. We're done here. Don't leave town. She walked out. Daniel sat alone in that room with his head in his hands. Through the glass, I watched my son cry. Mr. Levine touched my arm gently. Margaret, you don't have to watch the next one. But I stayed. 20 minutes later, Detective Martinez brought Kelsey in. She looked different. Hair perfect. Makeup done. Confident smile. Mrs. Hayes, thank you for coming in. Of course. Anything to help clear up this confusion about Margaret? Confusion. Interesting word. Detective Martinez set down a different folder. Tell me about your relationship with your mother-in-law. It's wonderful. I care about her deeply. That's why I've been helping her manage things. Manage things. Like her bank accounts. She was having trouble keeping track. I was just making sure bills got paid. Without her knowledge. Kelsey's smile faltered. She knew. She just forgets sometimes. Older people do. Mrs. Hayes is 66, not 90. Her doctor confirms she's cognitively sound. Detective Martinez pulled out the clinic records. Yet you called her medical office, claiming she had memory issues. Why? I was concerned. Or you were building a narrative. She pulled out more papers. You accessed her safe deposit box 3 times. Removed jewelry worth approximately $40,000. Where is it? Kelsey's composure cracked slightly. I was keeping it safe. In your possession? Temporarily? For 6 weeks? Margaret doesn't even wear that stuff anymore. I was going to what? Sell it? Pawn it? Detective Martinez leaned forward. We checked local pawn shops. Found your mother-in-law's engagement ring. You sold it for $800. It's worth $8,000. Kelsey's face went white. We also found the watch. And the other jewelry. All pawned within 48 hours of you taking them. She pulled out receipts. Your signature, your ID, your transactions. This is a misunderstanding. No. This is theft, elder abuse, fraud, stalking. Detective Martinez's voice was ice. And unlike your husband, you can't blame anyone else. You planned this. You executed it. You tried to destroy your mother-in-law's life. She's fine. She has plenty of money. That's not the point. She's old. She doesn't need it all. We have kids to think about. So you committed multiple felonies? Kelsey stood up. I want a lawyer. Smart choice. Detective Martinez turned off the recorder. You're going to need one. After Kelsey left, Detective Martinez came to the observation room. Mrs. Hayes, I'm sorry you had to see that. No, I said quietly. I needed to. We'll be filing charges. Multiple counts for both of them. Fraud, theft, forgery, elder abuse, stalking. She sat down. The prosecutor thinks we have a strong case. What happens to Emma and Jake? They're children. She softened slightly. That's not our concern. But typically family steps in. My brother Tom. He'd take them if needed. Mrs. Hayes, she continued, they're going to make bail. They'll be out by tonight. The protection order is in place, but be vigilant. Will they come after me? If they're smart? No. But people facing prison rarely act smart. That night I sat in my living room with every light on. New locks. Protection order. Evidence documented. But I still jumped at every sound. My phone buzzed. A text from a blocked number? You've destroyed this family. I hope you're happy. I forwarded it to Detective Martinez. 5 minutes later, another text. The kids are crying for their grandmother. But you don't care, do you? I turned off my phone, sat in the silence, and realized something. I'd spent 6 decades being kind, being helpful, being the peacemaker, and it had almost cost me everything. Not anymore. The arraignment was scheduled for Friday, 2 days away. I hadn't heard from Daniel or Kelsey since the interrogations. Just those blocked texts that kept coming. Threats, pleas, accusations. Mr. Levine told me to ignore them. They're panicking. Let them. But Thursday morning, something changed. My doorbell rang at 7 a.m. I checked the Ring camera before opening. Emma and Jake stood on my porch, alone. My heart stopped. I opened the door. Grandma! Emma's eyes were red from crying. Jake clutched a backpack. Where are your parents? Dad said to come here. He said you'd explain everything. Emma's voice cracked. Why are Mom and Dad going to court? Why can't we go home? Behind them, Daniel's car pulled away from the curb, fast. He'd used the children as messengers. I brought them inside, made breakfast, let them watch cartoons. Called Mr. Levine. He's manipulating you, he said immediately. Using your grandchildren to make you drop the charges? They're 8 and 10. They don't understand what's happening. Exactly. That's why this is cruel. His voice was firm. Margaret, if you back down now, they win. And they'll do this again. But the kids will be fine. Better than fine. Away from parents who commit crimes? He paused. Your brother can take them. Temporarily. While this gets sorted. I called Tom. He booked a flight for that afternoon. At noon, Daniel showed up. Pounded on the door. Mom, I know you have my kids. Let me in. I didn't open it. Spoke through the intercom. Tom's coming to get them. You can't do that. You're not their guardian. Neither are you right now. Not while you're facing criminal charges. Mom, please. I'm sorry. We're both sorry. We'll pay everything back. Just drop the charges. I can't do that. Yes, you can. Just tell the police it was a misunderstanding. That we had permission. Through the camera, I could see his face. Desperate. Wild. Did you have permission to forge my signature, Daniel? Silence. Did you have permission to track my car? Steal my mother's ring? Mom, did you have permission to try to take my house? His voice broke. We were going to lose everything. So you tried to take everything from me instead? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. Make me understand. He leaned against the door. I could hear him crying. The IRS wanted $80,000. Immediately. We didn't have it. I thought, if I could just borrow from you, borrow requires asking. Daniel, you would have said no. You don't know that. I do. You'd have lectured me about responsibility, about planning ahead, about how you and Dad never had debt. His voice turned bitter. You don't understand what it's like now. Everything's expansive. The house, the cars, the kids' school. So you committed fraud? I did what I had to do. Those words hung in the air. No, I said quietly. You did what was easy. What let you avoid consequences? What made your problems into my problems? I'm your son, and I'm your mother, not your bank account. Tom arrived at 3. Took Emma and Jake with promises of Disney World and swimming pools. They left confused but not scared. After they were gone, I sat in my empty house. My phone rang. Mr. Levine, tomorrow's the arraignment. Are you coming? Yes, Margaret. They're going to plead not guilty. This will drag out. Months, probably. Are you prepared for that? I am. Their lawyer will try to paint you as vindictive, confused. They'll say you misunderstood their intentions. Let them. You'll have to testify eventually. Face them in court. I know. His voice softened. Most people back down at this point. The pressure gets too much. I'm not most people. No, you're not. That night I pulled out a notebook. Started writing everything I wanted to say. Everything I needed to remember. How Daniel used to hold my hand in parking lots. How he'd bring me flowers on Mother's Day. How he cried when Robert died and said, I'll take care of you, Mom. I promise. Promises break. People change. Or maybe they just show you who they always were. Friday morning, I dressed carefully. Navy suit, pearl earrings, Robert's wedding ring on a chain around my neck. The courthouse was downtown. Old stone building. Metal detectors at the entrance. Mr. Levine met me in the lobby. They're already inside. With their lawyer? What should I expect? Procedural stuff mostly. Charges read. Plea entered. Bail conditions. He guided me toward the courtroom. But Margaret, seeing them might be hard. I'll manage. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights. About 20 people scattered in the gallery. Daniel and Kelsey sat at the defense table with a man in an expensive suit. Their lawyer. Kelsey's hair was pulled back. Conservative dress. Trying to look respectable. Daniel wouldn't look at me. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Case number 2024, Sarah Ocho Ocho, Cuatro Cieta State versus Daniel Hayes and Kelsey Hayes. The prosecutor stood. Young woman, confident voice. Your Honor, the defendants are charged with multiple counts of elder abuse, fraud, theft, forgery, and stalking. The state requests remand without bail. Daniel's lawyer jumped up. Your Honor, these charges are grossly exaggerated. My clients are loving family members who've been criminally accused by a confused elderly woman. My jaw tightened. The judge looked at the file. The alleged victim is 66 years old. Hardly elderly by modern standards. Nevertheless, Your Honor, there's clear evidence of misunderstanding. My clients believed they had authorization. Then why did they forge signatures? Install tracking devices? Empty safe deposit boxers? The prosecutor's voice cut through. This wasn't misunderstanding. This was calculated theft. The judge studied the papers. Bail is set at $50,000 each, with conditions. No contact with the victim, no access to her property or finances. Electronic monitoring, Kelsey gasped. Daniel's shoulders slumped. Preliminary hearing in 30 days. Court adjourned. The gavel struck. It was over in 15 minutes. As everyone filed out, Kelsey turned and looked at me. Her face was twisted with rage. She mouthed 2 words. You'll pay. Mr. Levine saw it too. I'm getting that added to the protection order. In the hallway, Daniel's lawyer approached. Mrs. Hayes, my clients would like to propose a settlement. Settlement? They return all stolen items. Pay restitution. In exchange, you drop the criminal charges. I looked at him. This man trying to negotiate away felonies like they were parking tickets. No, I said. Mrs. Hayes, be reasonable. These are your family. They stopped being my family when they started stealing from me. You're willing to send your own son to prison? I'm willing to let him face consequences for his choices. I started walking away. Mrs. Hayes. He followed. At least think about your grandchildren. What this does to them. I stopped. Turned back. My grandchildren are safe with my brother. Away from parents who use them as weapons. My voice was steady. Don't contact me again. Everything goes through my attorney. Outside the courthouse, news cameras waited. Someone had leaked the case. Mrs. Hayes, how does it feel to prosecute your own son? I kept walking. Do you think justice is more important than family? I stopped. Looked at the reporter. I think family doesn't give you permission to destroy someone. I continued to my car. And justice is exactly what family should teach. That clip ran on the evening news. By morning, it had gone viral. My phone exploded with messages. Supportive, hateful, everything in between. But one message stood out. From an unknown number. My daughter-in-law did this to me 3 years ago. I was too scared to fight back. Thank you for being brave enough. I saved it. And realized this was bigger than just me now. This was about every person told they're too old to matter. If this is hitting close to home, stay with me. And if you'd like more stories like this, subscribing really helps. Because what happened next changed everything. 6 weeks later, I sat in Mr. Levine's office, reviewing the final settlement. Not the one Daniel's lawyer had proposed. The one the prosecutor negotiated after Kelsey cracked. She'd taken a plea deal, testified against Daniel in exchange for reduced charges, 5 years probation, restitution, community service, and she'd told them where everything was. The jewelry had been recovered, most of it, anyway. My mother's ring came back. Robert's father's watch. The documents were copied and returned. Daniel refused to plead, insisted on trial. His lawyer claimed he'd been manipulated by Kelsey, that she'd orchestrated everything. But the evidence didn't lie. The voicemails, the ring camera footage, the forged signatures, the GPS tracker he admitted installing. The jury took 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge gave him 3 years, eligible for parole in 18 months with good behavior. I wasn't there for the sentencing. Couldn't be. But Mr. Levine told me, Daniel cried. Said he was sorry. Asked if I'd visit him. I hadn't decided yet. Mrs. Hayes, Mr. Levine said now, sliding papers across his desk. The restitution hearing is next week. They're required to pay back every dollar they took or attempted to take. How much? $87,000. Plus legal fees. Plus The cost of the forensic analysis and document restoration? He paused. They'll be paying you back for years. I don't want their money. It's not about what you want. It's about consequences. His voice was gentle but firm. They need to understand that actions have costs. I signed where he indicated. There's one more thing, he said. The deed has been corrected. Your name only. Daniel's been removed. The county recorder flagged your property for additional security. No one can modify anything without your in-person, notarized consent. Thank you. I've also updated your will. Your brother Tom is now executor. Your medical directives specify him as primary contact. Everything's locked down. He closed the folder. Margaret, you're safe now. Safe. Such a strange word. I drove home past the bank where Ms. Holloway still worked. Past the clinic where Jenna had first helped me see the truth. Past the neighborhood where my son used to live before he moved to a smaller apartment. Before he lost everything trying to take everything from me. My phone rang as I pulled into my driveway. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Mrs. Hayes. This is Victoria Chun. I saw your story on the news. A pause. My son is trying to do the same thing to me. I don't know what to do. I closed my eyes, took a breath, get documentation. Every text, every call, every suspicious transaction. My voice was steady. And find a lawyer who specializes in elder law. Don't wait. But he's my son. I love him. I know. But love doesn't mean letting someone destroy you. After we hung up, I sat in my car for a long moment. 3 months ago, I'd been cooking pot roast and hoping dinner could fix everything. Now I understood that some things can't be fixed, only survived. That evening, Jenna came over. We sat on my back porch with wine and watched the sunset. How are you really? She asked. Tired, sad, angry, relieved. I sipped my wine, all of it at once. That's allowed. I keep thinking about Emma and Jake, whether they hate me. Tom says they're doing well, therapy, new school. They ask about you. Do they understand? Enough. They know their parents made bad choices. That you protected yourself. Jenna touched my hand. Kids are resilient. They'll be okay. Will I? She smiled. You already are. A week later, I did something I'd been avoiding. I visited Daniel. The prison was 2 hours north. Gray concrete, razor wire, metal detectors. They brought him to a visiting room. He looked thinner, older. The orange jumpsuit hung loose on him. We sat across from each other, phones pressed to the glass between us. Mom, his voice cracked. You came. I needed to see you. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry for everything. I know. I was desperate. Stupid. But I never meant to hurt you. I looked at him. Really looked at him. My son. My boy. The person who'd tried to erase me. Daniel, do you understand what you did? I stole from you. I lied. I know. I mean, do you really understand? I leaned forward. You didn't just take money. You tried to take my autonomy, my dignity, my right to make decisions about my own life. His face crumpled. I know. You treated me like I was too old to matter, too confused to notice, too weak to fight back. I was wrong. Yes, you were. I set down the phone for a moment, collected myself, picked it back up. But here's what I need you to hear. I forgive you. He looked up sharply. What? I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. Not because what you did was okay. My voice was firm. But because holding on to that anger will destroy me more than you already tried to. Tears ran down his face. Mom, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it doesn't mean going back to how things were. I took a breath. When you get out, we can rebuild something. But it'll be different. With boundaries. With honesty. With respect. I'll do anything. Then start by taking real responsibility. Not just saying you're sorry, but understanding why it happened. Get help. Therapy. Figure out who you want to be. I stood up. Because the man who tracked his mother's car and forged her signature, I can't have that person in my life. I understand. Good. I pressed my hand to the glass. I love you, Daniel. I always will. But I love myself too. And I won't sacrifice one for the other ever again. I walked out of that prison lighter somehow. Not healed, not whole, but stronger. 3 months after the trial, I started speaking at community centers, sharing my story, teaching other seniors how to spot financial abuse, the signs, the patterns, the excuses. I showed them how to document everything, how to find lawyers, how to press charges even when it broke their hearts. After one presentation, an elderly man approached. My daughter's been doing this for 2 years. I was too ashamed to tell anyone. Tell someone now, I said. Tell me. Let me help. He cried. And I gave him Mr. Levine's card. That night, I sat in my living room, the house that was finally, legally, completely mine. I pulled out the photo album again, looked at pictures of Daniel as a boy. Someday maybe we'd take new pictures, better ones. Pictures of a relationship rebuilt on truth instead of convenience. But for now, I had something more important. I had my dignity, my independence, my voice. The Sunday dinner seemed like a lifetime ago. That whispered threat, that moment of fear. Today you're going to understand your place. Kelsey had been wrong. I'd understood my place perfectly. Standing up, fighting back, refusing to be erased. That was my place. And I wasn't giving it up for anyone. I don't want you to miss stories like this. Subscribe so you can find them again when you need them. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Have you ever lived through something like this? You're not alone. None of us are. Sometimes the hardest thing we do is choose ourselves. Choose dignity over peace. Choose truth over comfort. But it's always worth it. Because in the end, the only person responsible for protecting your life is you. And I'd learned that lesson the hard way. But I'd learned it, and I was finally, truly free.